Last week, I spent the week in New York City, and this is the notebook I brought with me. From the first moment I bought my first traveler's notebook, I imagined using it for traveling. But I never felt like I properly journaled a trip in my traveler's notebook until now. I loved this whole experience. I love the results of what came out of it, and I cannot wait to show you just how fun and meaningful this was. I'm Jen Tatro, and this is from Jen. Just one insert, an accordion fold notebook. That is what I use to journal my trip, and that is what I'm going to show you today. I love stickers as souvenirs, so I use that on the front and the back of my journal. My trip was 5 days long, which felt like the perfect length for this accordion insert. It allowed for just a page or two a day on the front side of the accordion, and I'll show you the back later. I started this first page, the packing list, before I even left home, and I continued to work on it during my flight layover on the way to New York. It was a great way to ease into the travel journal, and what I pack is always a fundamental part of any trip for me. Ironically, the page for day one was the last one I finished. My process was to sketch out my impressions and ideas in pencil as they happened, and then return later to add ink or color. This first night, all I did is go to Times Square, and the whole idea of that was just overwhelming to even try to capture. These next few pages, on the other hand, are my favorites. Days 2 through 4. I found it was both easier and more difficult to journal when you're doing a lot. It's easier because there's plenty of choice about what to sketch and write about. And it's more difficult because with limited space, you have to choose. Sketching multiple smaller images like this is something I've been wanting to practice though. So this was a good opportunity for that. Before I turn the page, I do have to show you this little video of my favorite part of day 3. Inside the New York Public Library, they had a journal belonging to the choreographer Jerome Robbins. And look, he used a Japanese accordion sketchbook just like this one. By the way, the supplies that I brought with me on the trip were actually fairly minimal. I brought a few micron pens in different sizes, a pencil, an eraser, some colored pencils, and although I didn't bring my watercolors, I went in after I got home and added a watercolor background. Day 4 was fantastic. We spent most of the day at MoMA, and I spent long periods sitting in front of my favorite artworks, sketching out my own versions of them. This day also yielded my favorite sketch of the whole trip. This one of my son standing in front of Andy Warhol's soup cans. The last day of the trip and making my way back home were pretty chaotic, so I ended up doing a lot of this last page at a cafe back in Los Angeles. I did sketch out the basics while dealing with flight delays and scheduling problems, but it was actually nice to come home and spend a few hours almost feeling like I was back on my trip, re-experiencing my time in New York. So this is it. This is the whole of the front side of my accordion fold travel journal. Now let me show you the back side. This is where I put some of the various ephemera from the trip, including a map of Manhattan. I actually really liked having this map here because it allowed me to annotate some of the locations I visited. And honestly, when I first glued this down, I had no idea that I would be adding so many notes around the ephemera, but I ended up really liking how it turned out. After having done this, I can really see myself bringing one of these accordion notebooks on any future trip. I think that this 5 to 7 day sort of trip is the sweet spot for using these accordion notebooks. For something longer, I think I'd prefer something where I could journal a little bit more and have a little bit more of an in-depth coverage of the trip. But this just felt, for this length of a trip, so doable. And you can see the whole thing was done either on the trip or shortly thereafter. And it is now less than a week after I got home. And this notebook is completely full and ready to put away and file as a memory. So would I recommend this format for a travel journal? Absolutely. I don't think it's the only format that will ever work, but wow, did it work for me on this trip. And I think it would work even on a slightly shorter trip, like a weekend or something like that. I'm addicted now. Taking the time on my vacation to slow down and process what I'd seen and what I'd done in a very analog way really cemented the experience for me in a way that I don't think anything else in the past has done. I will absolutely do it again, and I can even see myself planning trips in the future with a little bit more downtime to sit and journal and take in the locations where I'm at instead of trying to go the whole time. Because it turns out that the logging and drawing and writing about the trip was as good as the trip itself and became a vital part of the experience for me. I hope that you enjoyed this peek into my traveler's notebook, my traveling traveler's notebook, and seeing the little bits of clips that you did of my trip. And I would love to know if you'd like to see this for future trips. If so, let me know in the comments. Let me know how you have journaled vacations or travels in the past as well. And until next time, I am wishing you love and joy and all of those good things, and I can't wait to talk to you again.